Okay, let's talk about generative AI. I mean, you can't escape it, right? It's literally everywhere. And every single day, it feels like there's a new headline promising it's going to change, well, everything. But with all that noise, all that hype, it can get kind of overwhelming. So, what we're going to do right now is cut through all of that and figure out what's really going on.
All right, first things first, we got to tackle the AI hype machine. And believe me, that thing is running at full throttle right now. On one hand, it's promising us this amazing future. And on the other, well, it's basically the end of the world.
Yeah, you've seen this stuff, right? These kinds of images, these wild headlines, they're all over the place, promising either a perfect paradise or, total doom. It is a lot to take in.
So, on one hand, you've got the business world just absolutely buzzing. You see headlines from places like Forbes calling AI the killer app, the one thing that's going to guarantee success.
But then, boom, you turn around and see this. Suddenly, it's not some helpful tool anymore. Now it's a threat that could wipe out entire jobs. And that, of course, gets people worried, and for good reason.
And it doesn't stop there. The claims just get bigger and bolder. The Economist throws this one out there. Anything you can do, AI can do better. I mean, that's a pretty wild thought, right? Kind of fascinating. And maybe just a little bit scary. And then we get to the grand finale of the hype train. We're talking full-on science fiction, end-of-the-world stuff. This is where AI isn't just taking your job, it's threatening our entire existence. Yikes. So what are we supposed to believe? You've got paradise on one side, doomsday on the other. It's totally understandable why everyone's so confused. But here's the thing. To really get a handle on where all this is going, we first need to take a quick look back at where it all came from. Okay, so let's dive into that. A quick history of what you might call old AI, going from logic to learning. Understanding this is key because it'll show us just how much of a game changer this new generative AI really is. For a long, long time, AI was all about mastering games with really clear rules. Think about it. Back in 1956, you had the logic theorist proving math theorems. Then you get Eliza in 66 trying to mimic conversation. Fast forward to 97, and boom, Deep Blue beats the world chess champion. And then maybe you remember this in 2012, AlphaGo beats the world champion at Go, which is an incredibly complex game. Now, these were all huge achievements, no doubt about it, but they were all playing on a set board, They were about finding the single best move inside a closed system. And that brings us to the big moment, the generative leap. This is where we see a whole new kind of intelligence emerge. And trust me, this isn't just the next step. It's a giant leap into a completely different ballpark. So what is the big difference? Well, it's actually pretty simple when you boil it down. Traditional AI, the kind we just talked about, is all about analyzing. It looks at a ton of existing data and finds patterns. Generative AI, on the other hand, is about creating. It takes what it learned from those patterns and makes something brand new, something that didn't exist before. It doesn't just analyze, it creates. I love this analogy because it makes it so clear. Think about it this way. Traditional AI is like a brilliant librarian. This librarian knows everything in the library, can find any fact, connect any two books, just amazing at understanding what's already there. But generative AI, that's the creative author. The author can read everything in that same library, get inspired, and then sit down and write a completely new story. See the difference? One finds, the other creates.
All right, so if this thing is a creator, a new kind of author, what can it, do? Let's get into the specifics of what Gen AI can actually make.
First up, and this is probably the one you've played with, is text to text. This is the magic behind writing a quick email for you, whipping up a poem, fixing a bug in your code, or even taking a super long report and giving you the highlights, all from you just typing in what you want.
Then you've got text to image, and this is the one that really captured everyone's imagination. You just type in a description, anything you can think of, like a photorealistic astronaut riding a horse on the moon, and it just creates it. An original piece of art right there in seconds.
And it's not just about what you can see. There's also audio generation. We're talking about AI that can compose a brand new piece of music in any style you want, create custom sound effects for a film, or even produce a voice that sounds so real you'd swear it was a person reading you an audiobook. And the list goes on. We're seeing Gen AI create complex data for financial models, run thousands of simulations to design better products, or even edit photos in ways that used to take hours of work. The potential here, the sheer creative power, is just massive.
So this brings us to the big question, right? With all this new power to create just handed to us, what happens next? What does this mean for, well, for all of us, our jobs, our industries? This is where we talk about disruption and opportunity.
And make no mistake, this goes way beyond just making cool pictures or writing poems. When you have a tool that can generate new ideas, new solutions, and new data on command, that means pretty much every industry you can think of, finance, medicine, entertainment, you name it, is about to go through a huge, huge change.
So when you see all this power, it's really easy to go back to that scary question from the headlines, right? Will AI replace me? But what if that's the wrong question entirely? Maybe the real question, the one that's way more interesting and powerful, isn't what AI will do to us. It's what will you create with it? With a tool like this in your hands, what problems are you going to solve? What amazing new things are you going to build? Now that is the conversation we should be having. Thanks for digging into this with me.